Washington clear, Southwest 8504.
Southwest 8504.
Martin, do you have our flight plan up, or do we need to have dispatchery file for it?
Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of TellARotor RC Podcast. This is episode 1, the actual first full episode. I'd like to thank everyone who has been listening and giving us feedback. It's been pretty exciting. With that, we're going to go into what we did since last episode. DePaulo, evening.
Oh, good. I guess I'm first now. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know Monty was there, but we had to do a proper Thornburg. None of us have any idea what we're doing. Moment with New Year's, and what was it? 8 degrees outside, something like that. I think we might have broke the thermometer station.
Six with wind chill.
Awesome.
Yep.
I know I saw at least 8 without. So yeah, everything was frozen. I probably ruined a couple battery packs. One of the lights stopped working on the light tower. It was so cold, so I gotta go replace that battery or that light bulb. But yeah, we got everything out. Helis, jets, all sorts of dumb things, and flew all of them on New Year's. And I was flying a nitro heli into the new year. Pretty sure the exact same thing as last year and the year before that, because the N7 doesn't die somehow. Digger almost hit me with a big foam plane. Justin almost crashed when a cannon went off. So pretty standard Thornburg stuff.
Yep.
I think something bowling balls will be happening at some point, so that'll be fun. Because Thornburg.
Yep. Well, Shaggy, you were there.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I was there after, I didn't work that day, so no, I got there later that day.
He was around though.
Yeah. Definitely. I think y'all got more flights than I did that day. I got there in the evening and it was just cold. I was not looking forward to the flying.
You didn't miss anything. It was that the whole time.
All day and night.
It got to the point where you're dealing with, it's cold, and that's all I can feel. So now it's really just, how long does it take me to actually die in this cold now?
I actually got to the point where I went and looked up the temperature properties for TriFlow and found out we were in the range for pretty much it to start freezing. It was
Wow.
It was too cold. The helis weren't enjoying it. Yeah, the telemetry stopped me before I ruined any batteries.
I need to go look up what MPro 7 says is the coldest you can use it.
I'm interested to hear.
I mean, it's gun oil, so it should be good.
Yeah, most definitely. Anything else, Mike? I thought you were playing with that 3D printer. What'd you get printed up?
Everybody and their cousin was asking me for things the whole week I was in Virginia. I don't know, a couple different heli parts. Some guy needed a 600 electric battery tray that probably hasn't been made in 10 years. That got made. That was fun trying to reverse engineer the CAD on that. Which is also a wink wink nudge nudge to any Align people hanging around that, hey, if you got a CAD file that may be around for a heli that hasn't been made in a decade, that'd be cool. Make my life easier. I mean, no one's going to miss that. There's a goblin here that's getting fixed. Someone had a very bad time with an engine.
Yeah.
That'll get fixed. All the parts are in for that bad boy, so a very happy person who may be a ninja will be getting his awesome helicopter back, and we'll be able to properly school the man on how not to explode nitro motors, and his dad will be very happy.
Oh,
I know who you're talking about.
Uh-oh.
I was talking with the ninjas, and he got some. He's been getting some good, solid education when he's visiting OHB.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there was some ragging. Where's your heli, man? I blew it up.
Nah, I think he had some fun down there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Short of that, not too much else.
Cool. How
I know
about
what it's
you,
like
Shaggy?
to blow up a nitro engine.
Well, it's kind of a induction into the club. Is start it, run it, blow it up, go get another one, and try again.
Yeah. Quarter-size hole in the piston is always fun.
Man,
And
I
now
did
it's
all
on
that on my chunky
on a
little
necklace.
RC cars.
Yeah, mine was RC cars too.
Monty and I got it out of our systems with cheap stuff.
Yeah, I have done that with a nitro engine or two on
$100
a
motor.
truck.
So anything else you did before that? The last episode, Shaggy.
Quite a bit. We got time for this because it might be a while. So basically, one thing I did is, I basically been flying every day till the end of the year. So the Goblin Fireball that I have, frickin' brick, but flies great at 5,000 RPM. Yeah, so I got that back when they first came out. 7/17/17 is my first maiden flight on that, and at the end of the year, I hit 100 flights on it. So I flew my 100th flight earlier that day, and then I was thinking, like, I want to get my flight time, not count, but flight time really high. So I started taking the 420 out at 6 degrees, and going at a 2100 RPM on the 420, hovering in my yard, doing my sportsman hovering maneuvers, just practicing that. And of course, with 5 to 10 mile per hour wind gusts, my fingers were numb, and that's with gloves on. So that was those were some really like brutal flights. I was wanting to try to get the flight count up a little bit, just to kind of set a a goal or something like that to try to achieve for this year. And also, I really need to start practicing those maneuvers. So I basically did like 11, 12-minute flights on the 420, just practicing the hover maneuvers just nonstop. And then, of course, later that night, I went over to Thornsburg and flew some more underneath the light tower. Flew the 420 another flight, and then the Fireball, I think 5 more flights. So I think I ended the year with 105. Freaking cold.
Yeah.
Freaking cold. Coldest I've ever flown. Probably the coldest I ever want to fly in. Because, like you guys mentioned, any colder and you start getting lubrication stuff, starting grease and all that stuff starting to freeze up. I wonder how that would be like to have ice inside your rotor head and stuff. That'd be interesting.
It's cold.
That would be very interesting, actually, to see that.
It's kind of cold when you're...
So...
You know it's cold when you have to take your... You know it's cold when you gotta take your stupid jet inside because it will not start outside.
Oh, yeah. Same thing with the
It
nitros.
was at that moment I realized, dude, my nitro started fine. I was like, you just run it, prime it, let it glow for 5 seconds, starts right up, no problems.
That's true.
The jet, though, I got to stand there and look like an idiot in the cold waiting for the whole thing to burn down from unburnt fuel. I literally had to go inside the clubhouse like a fool, sit there with a heat gun, and wait 10 minutes, and still didn't want to start, so that was great.
Oh, that's always fun.
I look like a dumbass. I'm like, this is one more reason why I don't want a turbine helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool, though. You gotta admit,
Turbine
that'd be
plant,
cool.
good enough. It does the same thing as a nitro, though. It's got more power, but that's about it.
But it sounds cooler.
Alright, I'll give you that.
It does sound pretty cool. Saw an old video of, I can't remember who was flying, but they were flying, it was back in like 7 years ago, a TRX 700 with a turbine in it. And that was
There's
awesome.
a couple German dudes
Awesome
that throw down.
video. And it was just sport, you know. I mean, well, I guess like more F3N style flying, but it was pretty cool. And he did one like punch out where he overspeeded the motor.
I know if I had one, I would be able to help myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nothing like taking a $3,000 helicopter with a turbine in it. Actually, it's probably $3,000 just for the turbine, and trying to go lower and cut grass. Yeah, fun. But yeah, just to end it up for the week though, flew a bunch on the Fireball at night under the lights. Finished up with flying into the new year. Forgot that Digger was going to fire the cannon even after he yelled fire in the hole. Completely forgot. Realized that I was 20 feet away from the cannon, and then kaboom. Almost crashed my Fireball. It almost became a Fireball. That was basically it. Flew it again once in the new year, and one thing I gotta say is that air was so thick and so amazing.
Yeah, I took a picture and posted it on Facebook of the density altitude with the temperature, and what was it? I think it was about
Negative 3,100.
It was negative 3,000 something. Let's see. I mean, I still have
3353.
Yep, negative 3,353 feet. So our helis were basically acting like they were below sea levels for flying. Yeah, my blades, usually my heli's not that noisy, but in that thick of air, I could climb upright and inverted, and the heli was making noise.
Now you see why I always look depressed when I'm at IRCHA, and I look at my phone and I see 2,100 feet DA, and just the whole day I'm just moping around, just sad. And everyone knows the reason why now, because
Yeah.
Thornburg regularly gets 0 or below.
Yeah, it's that's interesting when we get out to Urch, and I usually have to adjust my hovering pitch to keep the helicopter hovering at mid stick, but I'll get into that a little later. Yeah, since the last episode for me, I did the 3 flights to finish out the year. I was just looking at the stats for the year. I think I got, well, it's not I think, it is, I know. I did 440 flights. I was
Nice.
I was at a flying field 83 times last year, and I crashed 3 times. I had
Only
a
three
total,
times.
yeah, only 3 times. I had a total flight time of 64 hours. Which averaged out to be about 8 minutes and 45 seconds every flight time. So my flight count's a little lower than most who get less flight time, but yeah, I enjoy the flight time more than the count. Um, it was a little less than 2016 for me, but only by a little under an hour. So I usually fly with glow sticks. The guys know it. I zip tie glow sticks on my helis for flying at night, along with I run, night blades. I run rail night blades, tail and mains. It was crazy. The glow sticks, the chemical reaction was actually when I went outside and they got cold, they actually got dimmer. When I went back inside, the glow sticks would get brighter, and even the batteries and the tail blades. I popped in some brand new batteries, and they were dim outside too, just because of the temperature. That temperature was brutal to batteries. It was brutal to everything. I did get my 1 flight in for 2018, and I'll get a couple more flights in January if weather permits. But for me, I'm moving into maintenance season. It's time to get some maintenance done to the helis. You said you wanted to talk about flight count real quick. What you got, Shaggy?
For this year, it was my first time doing the RCHeli.club login thing. Usually when I do login, I always just check mark. But this time, it was the first time I just got serious with the logging. So, like you said, you got, what was it, 64 hours you put on?
Yes.
Yeah, so I got about half that with 33.5 hours. 466 flights, 192 sessions total, and 15 crashes instead of your lucky 3. But again, most of those were, I think 12 of those were actually 180 crashes, so I guess they don't really technically count. I know 2 of them was the E7 SE, and 1 of them was a Fireball. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. So that's what I got there. Average flight time for all that was 4 minutes and 18 seconds. I'm guessing yours, Rob, was in the like 10 range, something like that.
No, it was 8.
It was 8?
8:44.
Okay.
Yeah.
But one feature I really like about this, probably the most out of this this website here, is average wind speed. So you type in the wind speed that you basically flown on, and I didn't fly at all in January of 2017, but I flew a little bit in February, and then of course progressed further on. And by this result here, February and March are the windiest times of the year that I've flown at, averaging about 11.3 to 11.6 miles per hour. And then July is the lowest at 1.5 miles per hour. And then the rest of it averages between 3 to 4.95 miles per hour. So it's actually pretty cool to be able to see this fluctuation. And so you can be able to see the windiest times of the year and everything, which February and March in this area usually always is the windiest time of the year, because that's when the temperatures start changing. You get a bunch of different crap going around.
Yeah, good time to do autos.
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah.
So it's actually a really cool. I really like this website here that explains the breakdown of your flights.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy the breakdown to see everything, because I use it for tracking maintenance on specific items. Haven't tracked the wind too much. I know Richard and I conversed through his website, and he updated the code for wind choices to include mile per hour, because before it didn't include a speed, and it was kind of a rough guesstimate. We just like it was calm or it was windy. But yeah, since he added in the mile per hour, I can see it. And I almost, after we got the weather station, the club, I feel like I've been selecting lower wind values that I was guessing before. So it's good to see what we've been flying in.
Very nice.
Yep. So next up is some heli news. RC heli news. And the interesting thing is January is sometimes a dead time of year for news. I think the two things we have down here is Ben Storick and Alan Szabo have videos out of them flying the newly released Align 700 XN. So I caught some of those videos, both of them flying in Vegas, and the heli was looking real nice. And it's always great to see both of them flying.
Stork flying a nitro.
That's unheard of.
The sad part is he's in Vegas with the DA is like $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Come to Virginia.
Oh, when he's visited Virginia before, I've talked to him about
He's
it.
gonna turn all his rates down.
Yeah, he turns his rates down because the heli's getting bite.
It moves.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in the Mojave Desert, about 200 miles west of Vegas. When I drive my car from the beach down in San Diego back home, you could instantly tell the power was gone, and that was even with a fuel injected car. Next piece is started seeing videos show up today of the Spectrum IX12, so that'll be interesting to see a lot of those videos pop up and people going through things. I think the one guy I saw post a video. He was posted a picture of him watching a video on his transmitter about the transmitter.
Oh wait,
That was cool.
wait. You know what that means.
I know what that means. It's
You know what it means.
we did list this podcast as explicit, but I'm not going that far.
Oh my gosh.
I was going to
guys.
say that it does appear that you can, in fact, visit some of the more explicit parts of the internet with your radio.
Ah, jeez.
As I was always wanting to do, I could just not leave the flight line and order parts before I go pick up my wreck off the field.
Yeah, man. Roll the dice, buy it, and then see what you actually crash.
Yeah. They're gonna gamble here.
Step out on the flight line, make an order for a new kit, and then start the flight.
Yeah, that's a good
This one's gonna be a
one,
recap. I can feel it. Let me order it real quick on my radio.
Yeah.
No fear, already a new kit in the mail. Smash it and pull out another, man. That's why you got a golf bag.
Oh man.
Don't judge, you know you do it.
I bet you people will do it too, just because they can.
Perhaps. I don't wish a crash on anyone, but as usual, we don't want to miss one.
Right on.
I will say if folks have other heli news, hit us up on Facebook or private message us, and I will happily look to add it to the show notes. Anyone else have some heli news before we close out this section?
I guess about it, honestly.
Yeah, it's January.
Been living under a rock, mate.
Yeah, that, and I didn't want to go digging too far back in the news. It's been talked about in other shows and things that people already probably caught up on. So,
Did you see that picture in the AMA magazine with Rob's? Oh, never mind. That's already been.
yeah, thanks. Don't want to talk about that.
That's the best image.
Yeah, maybe one episode we'll actually towards the end of this episode we'll discuss it because
Wait.
we'll discuss
better.
it towards the end of this episode, Mike. Because guess what? This episode deals with competition.
Oh no,
Competition.
not that again.
Yeah, this episode. So it rolls us into the main topic. One thing that a couple years ago, it was about the time I was getting interested in flying helis. I was racing RC cars still. And I enjoy competition. So I was like, I want to compete with helicopters. I started flying helicopters, 3D helicopters in 2011. Come 2014, it was fall of 2013. I said, I want to do competition. And at that time, really for competition in the United States is F3C. Foxtrot 3 Charlie. And That flying style is recognized worldwide by an organization, FAI, Federation Aeronautical International. But here in the U.S., we have some lower classes as well that new pilots could start in and grow in as they get more skilled in their flying. So I reached out to a local friend here who's been flying since What's Bob been flying, Mike? Since the late 70s, early 80s?
You mean the 1800s? We are talking about Bob Harris, right?
We are talking about Bob Harris.
Okay, yeah, definitely. He's
Yeah.
probably got some fossils kicking around his basement.
I don't think that place has a basement, being he's right next to tributaries for
Fossils, man. Fossils.
fossils. But I got a hold of him and he said, "Yeah, man, I'll give you some tips." So I went down there and did some hovering for him, and he blew me out of the water.
Yep,
But
that happened.
that happened. So I got into competition. So I decided I entered my first competition in 2014. Mike was actually there with me from the beginning, DePaulo, and this last year, was it this last year, Mike? Yeah, was first time for both Shaggy and you to enter into Nats, wasn't it?
That was coerced.
Yeah, I'd forced you to the local contest I hold, Mike DePaulo.
Oh, yeah, that one. That was the threat of grievous bodily harm.
And I was.
I
wanting
didn't
to do
threaten
it, but,
bodily harm.
I didn't have a heli flying at the time.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is, as we were looking back at your Nats results, I was trying to tell the difference, Shaggy, between when you were flying your 500 and your E7. And I'll
Oh,
be
the
honest,
420?
was it the 420?
It was 420, yeah.
I can't easily see the result difference. I can't easily see where like, because the judges aren't judging on heli size. If they can see it, they're judging it. So.
But that also, I didn't have a hurricane force wind out of nowhere when I was flying the 420, but I did with the E7.
That was
so.
fun.
No, it wasn't. That was the only one that had that. Wind doesn't matter. I found out.
Yeah.
No
when
bonus
you're
points.
when you're judging the precision in the F3C and the AMA classes, the model must stay over the cones despite the wind. The model could be hovering sideways as long as it's over those cones. And so the user has to, the operator, the pilot has to control it through the wind. So I mean that's a little bit of background, but I'll get more in depth here in the competition. So in the United States, you basically have like 3 different types of competition, and you'll see like F3C, which is precision. You'll see F3N, Fox 3 November, and that one is precision freestyle. So they want to see precision in freestyle. And then you'll see like what XFC does in the United States or other events do around the world, which is a freestyle competition. Usually they have large lists of maneuvers, and they want to see a lot of this stuff in a big freestyle. But mainly for this one, we'll be talking about F3C and F3N. Additionally, as I was saying a bit ago, there's the 3 AMA classes, and they are under F3C, so they're precision as well. And they are AMA Class 1 Sportsman, AMA Class 2 Advanced, and AMA Class 3 Expert. Talking with the IRCHA board, there's going to be a little bit of movement this year, should be, for those of us flying in the higher AMA classes. So I'm looking forward to seeing announcements on that one, as the maneuvers have been pretty static for the AMA classes, and they're still challenging, no matter if they haven't been updated, but they're still challenging. I think Shaggy could attest to that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Fun, but very challenging.
Yeah. A lot of people ask me about model size when they first start out, and Shaggy, I mean, what model sizes were you flying with, or what model sizes did you see out there?
Well, mainly what you saw out there was mostly 700s or 750 range. That's the majority that I saw out there.
Yeah. And then you flew what size?
Started with a 420.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Smallest one out there.
And what size what size heli were you flying, DePaulo?
For what, the summer competition?
Yeah, at Nats.
At Nats,
Yeah.
D5.
Yeah, you were flying 600, weren't you?
Yep.
Yep. So the interesting thing is, the judges need to be able to see the model. So as you know, the Goblin 420 was actually really visible. So one guy, definitely Shaggy flew that, and he was judged fairly. Yeah, most everyone gets to 700 size helis. A few guys are swinging 720 to 750 millimeter blades. There are more detailed rules about blade sizes, but for the most part, if you show up with, a 500 to 700 class heli, you're well within the rules.
I will add that the 420, I actually felt very comfortable with that helicopter, despite being very small and still a little twitchy. It was, I mean, when you dial the settings down, it was actually a really suitable helicopter for that class, or at least the sportsman class.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing about the sportsman class is, from a judging perspective, you're not looking to scare guys away. Love to see new guys come and try it out. So, it's not like if you don't show up with the latest, greatest thing, you're going to be turned away. I know some of the guys who've been around the competition longer, for instance, at Nats 2016, one of the competitors actually brought an older flybar model out. And for most every year, this was the first year I didn't see it, but for most every year, at least one person brought a nitro out and was flying nitro. Actually, hey, Mike, in scale, wasn't there some nitro?
There was some nitro.
Yeah. There was some nitro.
I'm so tempted to use an N7 for Nats again.
Go for
I'm
it.
going to be that guy.
You're gonna be that guy.
The funny thing is, a few of the guys wouldn't mind because the nitro exhaust slickens up the 1 meter circle that we're landing in. And some of the guys like that. It's a good thing.
I mean, everyone talked about how nitros are unreliable. Mine's never flamed out in like 3 years.
I think one of the challenges is just dealing with that density altitude.
Oh, yeah, that depressing thing again.
Yeah.
And now I'm sad.
So there is, I should have probably pulled it up before, but I know there is a maximum weight for helicopters.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
There's always that.
I thought I remember it being something somewhat absurd, like 15 pounds, like fairly heavy.
It was pretty heavy.
Yeah, for model weight, the maximum weight allowed for a model is 14.33 pounds.
Oh, it's close.
It's actually a conversion over from kilograms, being FAI is a European organization for the and doing for the world. It's in kilograms. It's 6.5 kilos. So there's a maximum weight. I asked the guys, in years past or even decades past, some guys have actually put lead in their skids to get themselves up near maximum weight. It gets a better hovering model.
More stability.
Another question that comes up pretty often is flybar or flybarless. F3C actually, it was 2014 was officially allowed, and I think 2013 was provisional, but I wasn't there for that year. But yeah, since 2014, flybarless has been allowed, and they're competing right alongside the flybars. So there's no separate classes. It's flybarless versus flybar if actually guys showed up with it. But most everyone's flying flybarless. The one thing in the rules is you can't use GPS systems or like self-leveling.
See you later, DJI fans.
We've joked, love to see someone use it because the hovering is so precise that those systems just they're not keeping it as solid as a well-tuned machine. Any other model specifics you guys like to add?
I'm good.
Let me just think. No, I'm good. Good.
Okay, cool. Things to practice. So, Shaggy, what would you say? What would you say you practicing for competition?
So I'm in the sportsman class, and what I've been practicing was there's a set of hovering maneuvers and a set of flying maneuvers. I seem to practice more on the hovering maneuvers because the hovering, he's got to get more precise. keeping the model steady, especially if you have any kind of wind, is extremely challenging, especially if your model isn't quite tuned for the application, as I experienced that a little bit as I was just starting, not really sure where to get my my settings adjusted at. So I definitely am working more on the hovering maneuvers. The flying maneuvers, you can really use, of course I still practice those more, but that you have a forward motion, and also it's in a much larger area or airspace, so you're able to really smooth those out a lot more, like certain loops and stall turns. You can really make them look clean fairly easily. But the hover maneuvers, that's one thing that I take more time to practice than anything.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, because you were flying, the AMA Sportsman class. How about DePaulo? What have you been practicing, being you competed in F3N last year?
Oh, that other thing I was coerced into. Okay. This man laughs, but who was it? It wasn't Phil. It was someone else. Oh, I can't remember his name.
Old Man 3D?
No, it wasn't Old Man 3D. It was.
Oh,
Why can't I remember his name? It's one of your buddies who always does FAI with us and comes down to our field.
Oh, Eaton.
Wasn't Eaton. I didn't get accosted by a cop.
Oh,
it was,
Rob McCullen?
Nope, wasn't him. Why can't I remember his name? Middle-aged.
Charles?
It wasn't fine. Was he doing Thunder Tiger?
Oh,
Why can't I
that
remember his
guy.
name? It's gonna drive me nuts.
Forgot his name.
Dude.
His name's Tim.
He did
He
Nats
came-
with us?
Yes, and he came to your event.
His name was Tim, right?
Well, there was the McCullens, there was Eaton, there was you, me,
Ernie.
Ernie. You're gonna make me go dig up my own event results, dude.
I know what you're
Okay.
talking about. I can't
All
remember his
right.
name. I thought his name was Tim.
I don't know why. It wasn't Tim. Oh, okay. It's gonna drive me nuts. I can't remember his name. Point being, dude man walks up to me while we're laying out the flags and everything for FAI, and hands me a contestant ticket. Like, congratulations, you're doing F3N. I was just like, what? Like, I have zero practice. I have no idea what song. I literally, Montel Staley, I picked my song for F3N while we were walking down the Urcha main line.
Oh yeah,
Out of
dude.
all
that
the
was,
songs.
Oh yeah, Paper Planes. Charles loved that. Oh man, he's like, your flying was very good, but I'm gonna stab you if you use that song again.
So I'm going to do Snoop Dogg next year.
You know what? I'm thinking I'm willing to get shanked by the president of Urcha. I'll roll those dice. That was a fun song.
That was actually good.
Shanked by the president of Urcha. That's a good headline. Someone get Chris McCulhey on that. There's something fun to practice. I was looking at sideways pirouetting loops where, as it's looping, you're also flipping. So you can imagine you're pirouetting sideways loop, and you're going inside and outside loop, and every time you do that, you reverse the tail.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'm following.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, that one.
Yeah.
I do this, and I do this, and I move the sticks around here, and it becomes that.
Yeah, I'd be like imagine a pirouetting loop, right? And then every half piro flip, or what you would do
Oh, I
is
know
you're
what you're talking
flipping through it as you're doing the loop.
Is this something you're gonna do in your freestyle, or something you want to do for your set maneuvers?
It's a freestyle thing. I don't even think it is a set maneuver.
Yeah,
So it's definitely a freestyle thing.
I just downloaded the updates for 2018 from FAI for F3N and F3C. So it's good to keep up with it. And yeah, there is new maneuvers. There was a few added, and there was also a clarification on some of the maneuvers, because I know some of them we looked at and go, no, that's just wrong. You did it wrong. It's like, that's how I understood it. And it's like, yeah, well, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
And some of the guys have gone back and revisited their set maneuvers.
That heated 2016 What is a Galaxy? That was fun.
Yeah, it is one of the challenges for the F3N is just the maneuver description and the picture.
It doesn't help.
They actually are officially right that the description is authoritative over the picture.
Yep. It doesn't help, too, that we're doing this, and besides Jamie and Nick, most of the guys have never really sat down and tried to judge 3D flying. It's kind of a whole new world for everybody.
It is a new world for everyone. It most definitely is. It most definitely is a new world for everyone.
And the surprise for a lot of 3D guys is, nah, man, it's gotta just do more than look kind of like the maneuver. You actually have to like draw the line through it.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is precise 3D.
Yeah,
These TikToks better be perfect. Like, we saw a couple of guys who, I undersold myself. I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And Monty just told me in the hotel room the one night, it's like, quit being a puss and do it. We had a couple guys had to back down just because the moves they were trying to do didn't quite look right. And by taking the lower one that they could do perfect, they were able to get more points out of it.
Yeah, that was interesting. I know for myself when it comes to the F3N set maneuvers, there's a large list. I want to say it's 40 maneuvers, 40, and you have to choose 8 of them. And in 2016, the first year that F3N was run officially in the USA for Nats, I chose easier maneuvers that had a lower K value, and the K value is a multiplier when you actually have to do the math. And I was getting decent scores, but I wasn't very competitive amongst the others because once the multiplier came in, they were running away, and I was sitting there with a score. So I know like between rounds, I switched out some maneuvers and started choosing more difficult maneuvers. I couldn't fly them as cleanly, but the multiplier actually helped my score, and I started getting my score higher and be more competitive amongst the guys, which was, to me, made me happy. I'll nerd out in a lot of math on the back end and start doing averages and start figuring out where the weak spots are at and trying to raise averages up so that I'm more of a competitive guy. I know when you're at like Nick and Jamie's level, they're choosing the hardest 8 out of 40 maneuvers, and that's pretty much what they're working with because it's the hardest maneuvers that have the best score. But to the practice, I think a few other areas to fill in on the practice was there's the hovering and the aerobatics for F3C and the AMA classes and those routines. There's the freestyle routine, and then there's a music routine. I find myself listening to so for hovering aerobatics, I find myself in F3C and the AMA classes, in the AMA classes, there's 3 hovering maneuvers and 5 flying maneuvers. In F3C, there's 2 hovering maneuvers and 6 flying maneuvers, if memory serves me right. So I like to put a little more weight in my aerobatic maneuvers because that's more a score. So I was like, when I first started practicing, I was practicing the aerobatics. These days, I know 2016, Mike and I, we went crazy, and I think there's actually pictures of it that Jenny caught of. Remember the call sheet for the freestyle routine, Mike?
I believe so. Yeah. Wait, are you talking about the rally notes thing?
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we sat down on an afternoon, and basically I went through maneuvers, and I wanted to move around in the area that's judged, and made the maneuvers and go out there and do it. So sometimes I find myself pulling that routine back and going back through that stuff. But when you get to music, it's not so easy. So I'd actually, I've asked some others, and there's things out there to look for, because they're not necessarily looking for you being perfectly in time with your music. The mood also has to fit the flying style. So it's about feeling does a flying style match what the music is putting out. So it's always fun to try and find music to fly to, and I know one thing I'd asked, and one of the guys just straight up told me, put a song on and fly. If you don't want to edit music and everything else, just put a song on and fly. I've done it for 2 years, and it's I've been perfectly happy with it, and I've been learning to edit music. Because I'm looking to improve that in the coming years. But my desire to compete was stronger than my desire to edit music. Guys, have anything else for practice?
No, I think we're good at the moment.
For practice, yeah, I can't think of anything.
I think another thing I'll add in there for practice is for hovering maneuvers. If you once you lay out the actual course, because it's all pre-measured, when you're practicing at home, it's good to have a friend come help you sight in for hovering maneuvers. So, for instance, the center circle is, of course, centered with you, the pilot, when you're flying. But the flags that are off to the left and right of the circle are each 5 meters away from that center circle. So, have a friend stand 5 meters to your left or 5 meters to your right and go hover over that cone or flag in front of them, and have him give you verbal commands to put you over the cone, because you'll be surprised when you think you're over that cone. You'll have your friend sight you in and tell you where to move the heli until it actually is over that cone, and you'll be surprised the heli isn't in the place you thought it was to actually be over the cone.
How far do you stand back from the center circle?
You know, I count it out with steps. So if someone's measured out the circle, because the pilot stands in a 2 meter circle, the helicopter is taken off and flying. So the helicopter, you do your stuff over a 1 meter and a 3 meter circle that's centered up with the pilot, and the pilot is actually 9 meters back from that circle. I stepped it out. I counted my step count, so I'm actually 13 steps from it. If guys ever wondered why they see me like stop with my heli in my hand and then walk out a specific, like very specific amount of steps, it's because I am. I really am. I walk my heli out 13 steps from me every time I go to take off for a beginning of a flight, and that's also the area I am aiming for in my auto rotations. On clubs like RCHO, where they have their pads, you'll see me. I'll walk my heli out to the pad, and then I'll take 13 steps back from their pad for the 9 meters, so that I'm always the same place away. That was something I talked to one of the guys in the higher classes, and I was like, I'm having trouble landing in that circle for auto rotations. Like, I could do autos cleanly, but getting that circle is a challenge. And he said, well, are you taking off and landing from the same spot every time? I was like, well, no, I'm not. And he's like, well, step it out, figure it out. So, yeah, it's 9 meters back, and yeah, have a friend sight you in over those flags on the hovering areas and on the circle. Also, on a calm day, you and him. I know I've done it. It's just the two of us out of the field. I've had a friend walk out so they're in line with it to help sight me in to make sure I'm not forward of the circle. Because it's pretty easy to tell when you're back from it, but if being forward of the circle to get you a little bit back. The other way to tell pretty easily where you're at is when you're in a hover over the circle, bring the helicopter straight down. Where it touches down, yeah, that's pretty much where you're hovering at, and it was wrong. if it didn't hit the 1 meter circle. I think the only other tip on that 1 meter circle is it's more important to hit that circle, so I would adjust the heli if I'm hovering it down, because your only time you touch the circles as a sportsman is when you're doing your hovering maneuvers and you hover over it, and you touch the circle every between the 3 flying maneuvers. It's more important to adjust the heli into the circle than it is to miss the circle. Missing the circle will count against you in points. I would rather get counted for adjusting the heli to hit the circle than miss the circle. Any other things on that?
Not really. I think you covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So another thing I have listed in here is kind of what to expect if you visit a competition. A lot of guys don't know really what they're getting into. So how an event progresses, how points are given in rounds. Depending upon the size of the contest, usually we'll go for like a minimum of 3 to 5 rounds, depending upon the size of the contest. I've been to smaller contests where we did 3 rounds. That way you get points for 2 rounds, and 1 round is tossed out. For like nationals, when we do that in Muncie, that's a 7-round event. That's a 7-round event, and you're keeping 6 of the 7 for the AMA classes. The F3C and the F3N guys have got a whole other thing going on. They'll fly 7 times, but their scoring's more complicated. And to be honest, I'm not going to get into that actual scoring here. But yeah, you're gonna fly 7 times. For smaller contests, usually with 3 to 5 events, we will not try. We're looking to get it done in one day. So, DePaula, you can attest it's a busy day.
Yeah, a bit.
I can attest to that too.
As
I
a
judged it.
contest, yeah, as a contest director for a smaller contest, I find it's a keep the guys moving, keep them going, because their mind will wander off, and you got to get them up there flying. But yeah, so usually for like Nats, we'll do cut it out. They do 3 days. The first day will be usually they go to do 3 rounds, trying to get a lot done in one day. So you do 3 rounds, and the next day will be 2 rounds, and the last day will be 2 rounds. Smaller contests, as I say, 3 to 5 rounds one day, blasting it through from 8 a.m. till sunset. Points. So with events usually, so there's 3 judges. They sit in pre-measured spots behind the pilot. Every maneuver is judged on a scale of 0 to 10. A pilot starts out with 10, and as he doesn't make the maneuver look good, he's deducted points. How bad the pilot made it look will be directly reflected in the score. From that, if you only get 3 judges for smaller contests, you only get 3 judges. All 3 judges their score is gonna go in for your total score. For a larger event like nationals, usually you'll have 5 judges, and the high and low judge are taken out, and they take the 3 judges with the scores in the middle, just to get better averages. But yeah, the points are given, and then you'll basically see after that the points are given, and then after that they do some math. What is that piece of math called? I actually have it in an Excel formula, and I just had it open.
Like a mean average or something like that?
Normalized.
Yeah,
do math as normalized on a 1,000-point scale. So if you fly perfectly, it's like if you were to fly perfect and get 10 points for every judge for every maneuver, you would come out with they would come out with 240 points for like sportsman guys. So yeah, they would come away with 240 points. So then that's normalized against everyone's scores. So then the guy who did the best at round will get 1,000 points, and the next guy from there gets points in there because the scores are normalized. So yeah, it's important to look at it between rounds, and if you can, is to get points. Look at your scores from the judges of your actual maneuvers in F3C and even F3N to see what the judges like and don't like, because you can start to see with 3 judges who are at pre-measured locations, you can start to see they didn't like something on your right side, they didn't like something on your left side, they didn't like something centered, or they just outright don't like a maneuver. And you can see that oh yeah, I remember in that round I missed all the flags. I wasn't centered when I was doing my aerobatics. Or if like an F3N with a freestyle routine, if all of it's done off your left shoulder, you're going to get hit. They want to see you use left, center, right, high, low, far, not far, but a bit out and a bit in. They want to see, all that 3D space used. What else you guys got about, how the event moved through, how it progressed, especially considering, like, Mike, you've been there all years with me, and Shaggy, this was your first year last year.
for
Just how the competition went, how it progressed.
and I mean, in my case, I was just tagged along the whole time until I was finally pushed into it, and I think we basically strong-armed Shaggy into doing it with us.
Well, that's something that I actually was, I don't know, Rob's been kind of like nagging me about trying it out. And honestly, it's quite enjoyable. Actually, you just talked about the normalizing scores, and that actually makes a lot more sense to me now.
Yeah.
Because that was very confusing at first, but now I definitely understand it a lot better.
Yeah, for those who might be familiar with using Microsoft Excel, I actually have full items for all the math. So there's actual formulas for normalizing and getting all the points together. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Once you actually see the math, it becomes a lot more understandable. I know for like Nats, they actually have an application written by a guy who used to compete, and he actually comes out still and hangs out with us. He actually wrote an app. I'd say the other thing and how rounds progress is every pilot has a caller. Callers either like for F3N, they'll call out each maneuver for set maneuvers, or they will call beginning and end of the routine. So when they begin and when they end. For F3C and the AMA classes, they're going to call the beginning and end of every round. I know, like Mike and I, because we usually callers for each other for F3N, knowing that if you're going to crash a model, like if you know an auto's going bad, or you know you're not going to hit the circle, Mike and I have a standing thing: call it complete before call the routine done before the model smacks, so they'll get their score as is.
Because you get 0 if it goes in.
But yeah, so between the rounds, guys will ask you to help come call for them if they don't have a caller, or a lot of times, tag a friend, go together and call for one another, and if you can, practice with one another. I know, I mentioned him earlier, Old Man 3D, Phil,
So good,
and
man.
Chris Diamante, talked to them, and they came out last year first time, and they called for one another on everything, which is good because they also fly with each other, and they were able to get things down because there's also timing things that go on for maneuvers. If a maneuver starts, 5 or 10 meters before center, your caller has to have enough, he has to see that it's getting there and call it for you, or perhaps you give him you'll say, hey man, call it, and he'll call it, and, starting and ending of maneuvers. So it's good to have a spotter. Otherwise, but don't worry about it. I would say any one of us, if you get to a contest, will happily call for you. You don't have to bring somebody.
But make sure you stay in communication with that caller and call the maneuvers at the right proper time, because they're just going to sit there and okay, call when you're ready. If you don't call it when you're ready, then you may be halfway into the maneuver before they actually call it.
Yeah, I know. There's people I definitely know I will happily have call for me, and there's people that just don't have them call for me. Either there's usually some reasons. Maybe they're not quite loud enough, or they don't know the maneuvers I'm flying, so they're looking through the call sheet and not quite very familiar with it. And that's a helpful thing, is to print out your maneuver list, print it out so you have something to hand a caller so they can call for you. Or even at the field, if you got a friend at the field, have a call list, have them stand next to you and call out the maneuvers.
And make sure they go down to the right order of you kind of explain the maneuvers that you're going to do in order, so they'll be able to look like, is the layout like vertical or is it horizontal? So they'll be able to call out the right maneuver before you actually do it. That way they don't call the wrong maneuver and you're doing a completely different maneuver. I've had that happen.
Yeah, I know. DePaulo, one year, I was in the aerobatic portion of I think it was AMA Class 2 when I was flying year before last. He actually called out the wrong maneuver before he started. And the interesting thing is, when a maneuver is not started, you're not being judged. And I yelled out, "No, wrong maneuver. This is the next maneuver."
I didn't hit start.
Yeah, as long as he didn't hit start, you can fly. You can fly around and make sure it's right. The timer's still counting against you because every round has a maximum time. But no,
it's pretty long time.
It is and it isn't.
It's like 8 minutes, right?
Yes, for most of the classes, the time is 8 minutes. For AMA classes. For like sportsmen, you get 8 minutes to do your 8 maneuvers. What I usually find is, you want a model. That's one of those things when you look at your model is go out there and do the maneuvers and see what kind of battery capacity you have left. Because if you get all the maneuvers done in like 3.5 minutes, that's usually not a very well scored round. There was too much movement. You moved too fast. It's pretty normal. I remember when I was flying sportsman, I'd usually finish after 5.5 minutes, and usually between like 6 and 7. For sportsmen, I find I usually finish between 7.5 minutes. And as you get into the upper classes, you get a little more time depending upon the class you're in. But the big thing there is I usually take more time hovering than I do flying aerobatics. So it's not too abnormal to actually take 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes to do the 3 hovering maneuvers, and then the aerobatics just go real fast. They go real fast. And the other thing is you don't need to run your head speed at Mach 10 when you're doing hovering.
2700.
So you can, if you have a model and you go out there and test it and you're not able to get 8 minutes of flight out of it, well, if it's a 700, turn your head speed down to 14 or 1500 and do your hovering maneuvers.
It'll still fly.
And then turn your head speed up till, it'll fly. It'll fly really well. And then turn your head speed up for your aerobatics and see what you come down at. You'll be surprised. You'll get, it'll hover at a lot more stable. It'll not be so twitchy. And then you're going to come down with more battery life. I actually find that I can fly like the whole sequence twice on one battery. Or if I'm just practicing the hovering, I can do just a hovering practice for like 12 to 15 minutes. Just hovering maneuvers.
Yeah, when I did with my E7Z at Nats, I was flying with 4400s. My 5000s were destroyed in a crash. But I was flying with old 4400s that I had, and I was able to do the whole. I mean, I would fly for about 6.5, 7 minutes to do my whole maneuvers, and I'll still come down with like 50% on my battery. I mean, that's with 4400s and a 700 size helicopter.
Yeah. I can actually do. I don't do it, but it's pretty common for me to come back with near storage charge after a round. I won't fly 2 rounds of one battery or a single charge, but because that would be too far. But yeah, I usually come back above storage voltage.
Yeah, you're not working the model. You're not putting a lot of amps through the speed control or anything. You're really light on it, so it's just enough head speed to keep it in a stable hover, and then when you're doing your flying maneuvers, just enough to be able to get some decent speed to let the momentum carry you through the maneuver.
Yeah, I will say for head speed, if you just straight out do the math, you'll start finding if you get the head speed low enough, the flybarless controller is going to be less able to correct. When it's a very dead calm, like the golden hour everyone talks about, where everyone likes to try right there at dusk, usually you have no wind, you'll find that a low head speed is epically awesome. But, in the saying of the Marine Corps, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. So when it comes to helicopters and precision, if it isn't windy, there's no reason to fly. When it comes to Muncie, Indiana weather, it's always windy. So.
Oh yeah.
It's always windy.
Sometimes it's a hurricane force wind that comes out of frickin' nowhere.
There is rules about the wind and how long how steady of a breeze it has to be sustained in order for the contest to be paused.
Or a lightning bolt. Which honestly, that was really cool. Literally halfway through my loop, and that lightning bolt straight down the middle of my loop. That was cool.
Yeah, but that lightning was very far away.
Oh yeah, yeah, but it was still cool. It was in the middle of my loop. Even though that was a pretty rough round.
Yeah, I know we were talking about a bit last week with Mike's maiden of his N7. There was lightning in the background when he was flying, which is a really cool backdrop.
That happened.
But yeah, so usually for wind, one of the ways that helps solves it is I usually pump up the RPM about 100 RPM. You'll find an RPM that works well for you in hovering in the wind. I actually have my radio programmed so that I have it's not a knob, it's a slider on the back of the radio. I actually could slide it, and it will raise up my governed RPM, so that if I find it's windy and I'm just not getting the performance I want, I can adjust it. I can adjust it right then and there. without having to, plug in or land and stare into my radio programming. So that was one of the things I did and it's only active during hovering, but yeah, it was one of the things I did to make sure I get the head speed where I want it at for the conditions of the round. Any other things you guys want to add?
Yeah. So what do you set for banks? Because what I did when I set up is I just had in through the brain I had three different bank switches, and then I had three different rate switches. So what do you normally set up for that, or would you recommend for setting up for your banks?
You know, for a person new to competition, for the for the AMA classes, if you're an inner sportsman, I would recommend two banks. One bank for hovering, and another bank for the aerobatics. That way, you have somewhere to start with. From there, I would at least start out with two banks. From there, you can adjust other things like, your dual rates or expo. You can adjust other things like dual rate and expo. But I would start at least with a minimum of two banks. That way, you have something you can dial in for aerobatics, and then something you can dial in for hovering. For the F3N, Mike and I think both of us, it's just a single bank. You were on a single bank, weren't you, DePaulo?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not running anything special.
Yeah.
I mean, there's banks with slightly different settings, but there's no like hovering bank or anything for me.
Yeah, for F3N, I'm running one bank. It's all 3D setup. I'll be honest, it's not too far away from a 3D, my aerobatic setup. It's not too far away from my aerobatic setup. I think the biggest difference I have is my model I dedicate to F3N has a bit faster of a flip and roll rate. Tail rates are actually, they're close to the same, but not identical. But flip and roll rate's a little faster in the F3N, a little slower in the F3C. Yeah, the eight maneuvers in Sportsman, three of them hovering, five of them flying. The last one is it's not so much a bank as like a flight mode or an idle up, depending upon your radio's nomenclature. I like that maneuver, like the last maneuver, because you're coming down into a hover. I like it at a lower head speed, but I'm still running, a 3D bank. I'm just running a lower head speed. Hovering, you'll find that for hovering, my gains are nearly maxed out, and that the model I have it slowed down and docile. Working with others, I found that I won't hand my heli over to people and let them try my hovering of my model. It's downright scary, and even myself, like if my 2014 self couldn't fly my 2017 setup. It's learned as you keep progressing through it, and you get more and more stable and get the model set up. Yeah. Does that help answer the question, Shaggy?
Yeah. That helped a lot. What do we got next?
Next item is events. So competition events around the U.S. So I actually have 5 events listed here. The main one is the event in Muncie, Indiana. It happens a few days before the Urchin Jamboree, and it is the AMA's Helicopter Nationals. Happens a few days before Urchin Jamboree. I think all 3 of us, we head out early, get out there early, and then do a little bit of practicing. We get out there early on Saturday, get a flight in just because we can fly on a Saturday, and we're in Muncie, and we're so excited.
And it's 9 o'clock and there's still sunlight.
It is 9 o'clock. There's still sunlight.
I love that.
It is really nice. Sunday for Nats is a practice day and a setup day, so we'll go out there and start drawing out the area and setting up the posts and everything. Monday morning is when the contest starts, but the pilots. Let me go back. The pilots meeting is Sunday evening for AMA Heli Nats for the Nationals. It's Sunday evening. Monday morning, 8 a.m., contest is pretty much be ready to fly. If the fog is out, the sun is proper, be ready to fly, 8 a.m. The next event is in Nashville, Tennessee, the Music City Championships. That event is usually, I want to say, June, July timeframe. I'll probably pass word of when I get some dates from the guys who are going to hold the contest this year. But yep, the Music City Championships in Nashville, Tennessee. The event I help run in Fredericksburg, Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic Heli Championships. That event is scheduled for June. And later on in the podcast, when we get to events, I'll actually give some dates for the Mid-Atlantic Heli Championships. The next event is the Fall Heli Classic. That event is typically in October in Triple Creek RC Field in Riverview, Florida. And last event here on the list is the Precision Aerobatics Competition held at Seaview Rotor Ring in Brooklyn, New York. Good friend of ours, Eaton, runs that event, and it's always fun to go. It's always fun to go fly with New York City in the background behind you.
Oh, really?
As
That's
you're
cool.
flying at a park, looking out over the bay. So that's a fun event to go fly, and help open a precision model helicoptering to new people. I'm always looking for other events. A lot of times I knew myself. I was helping to run events before I got into the competition. I went into the competition, and once I understood the competition, I was like, I'm running a competition event. So if you want to start an event, give me a shout, and I can definitely give you everything needed to help run an event. Any other things you guys want to say on events?
Not really. I think I'm good.
I think I'm good too.
I mean, I could say some things. I don't want to get in trouble though.
Go for it.
I don't feel like getting in trouble and explaining things after the second episode or the first episode.
First official. Yeah. Well, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, let's at least get a few episodes in before they try and arrest me and
shut us
have to
down.
like bail me out. So that was the main topic. Getting more towards closeout. I think one of the things for closeout topics I usually cover. So I usually make a heli calendar early in the year, January timeframe. I can tell you all the events that I'm about to mention already have confirmed, sanctioned dates. These are events actually that one or all of us will actually be going to this year. So with no further ado, the podcast may be out before this event happens or out just after it happens, and that event is the RC Heli Hooligans Chill Out.
Chill out.
That one's actually planned here in January for the 12th through the 14th.
It can't be as cold as it is now.
We were actually just talking with the guys about that this evening, about just how cold it'll be. And, 2 weeks out, it's looking hopeful.
Yeah. Though the RCHO was pretty cold. So we'll see.
Yep. For all these events, more details can usually be found on RC Flight Deck, Facebook, or if you go to the AMA's website and look for sanctioned events, you can find the official contact info for, the club's website or the CD, if you want to call them. The next event, non-flying, is AMA Expo East in Secaucus, New Jersey, February 23rd through 25th. I know last year I was there. The IRCHA organization had a booth. And we're out greeting people and talking with folks, and it was actually a really fun time. Talking with the IRCHA folks again as to what's going to all be set up, but I'm planning to be there on a Saturday, and I'm looking to drag someone with me.
Me, probably. Maybe.
Next event, I actually just saw the dates get thrown up today. It's a 1-day event, March 3rd. It is the Cabin Fever event in Graham, North Carolina, at the Barks RC Club. I went to it last year. Good group of people. It's February. It's a single day event, so it's not that far for us here in Virginia to go travel that one. After that is Heli Spring Fling.
Spring Fling!
Spring Fling. The dates are already confirmed for that one. It is May 2nd through the 6th in Thornburg, Virginia. I know it's an event. I help run. Mike helps. Both Mikes help, and usually all of us are there along with tons of other people. Recent news was, Justin Pucci and the other guys from IMSHFA, Model Helicopter Speed Flying Association, are coming out. They're going to do the drag racing like they did at OHB
I'm
just
so
a few weeks
excited.
ago.
I'm gonna go fast.
I did. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about prepping a model to go fast with as well.
I want to try it so badly.
And I think an extra part of that was opened up was there will be a $5 for entering into the speed, to my understanding.
Yeah, there'll be a $5, basically $5 extra fee off top of the registration
Landing
fee.
fee.
Yep.
Yep.
And basically, what they were, or what they're doing is not mainly for people that are, that know about speed or that has a specific speed model. This is literally for anybody who wants to just kind of learn about the speed heli flying, and want to give it a shot. So this could be for any person, any size model, anything. It's for all just to have fun and fly really fast.
Yeah, have fun, fly fast. Go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby.
Next event up is March 18th through the 20th. That's a bit more of a local event here in Virginia, and it is the Heli Domination held in Fluvanna. That's an event I'm planning to go to and probably drag some folks with me. Fun group of friends down there. After that, the next event after that is actually the same club. It's a fundraiser. It's a single-day event. They do a fundraiser for their local animal shelter to help take care of the animals down there. It's actually a car show, model show, and everything.
Well, that's cool.
So, yeah, it's the Paws event at the same club in Palmyra, Virginia. After that, the Mid-Atlantic Heli Championships. As I was saying earlier, the dates for that is June 15th and 16th. Friday is a practice day. Come out, practice. If it's your first time, come on out, and I will give you all the help in the world. It's also the day I set up the course, and Saturday the contest actually begins. So the contest begins and ends on Saturday. Also, if you just want to come out and help, I love help on that one because there's scoring help I need and all sorts of things. We got to move shade around, and we move from the front to the back line, and use the whole day to get all 5 rounds in. After that is AMA Heli Nats. So that is July 30th through August the 1st. And sign up for Heli Nationals is a bit different than other events. If you want to sign up, you need to call the AMA and tell them I want to sign up for Nationals, and they'll ask you what classes you want to sign up for, and you can pay them over the phone with a major credit card. That's how you sign up for.
I had a hard experience with that.
Yeah, I'll probably give some feedback this year in past years to try and get more people to try it out, to try out competition. They've waived the entry fee for Nats if you were coming to IRCHA. So I'll make some noise and see if they're going to do that again, and if they are, spread some word early on that one so that guys like Shaggy don't run into challenges.
Challenges.
So many challenges, and that wasn't even flying.
That's my politically correct consulting term for
Heh.
a lot of communication between him and the CD for Nats, Mike Unger.
So it's easy to contact him now, and good friends now. All good.
Oh yeah. The interesting thing is the IRCHA Jamboree actually begins the day that IRCHA Jamboree begins the day that Nats ends, and that was how Mike and I. That's how that picture got taken of me last year. I'll get to that in a moment, but yeah, the IRCHA Jamboree. The date should be August 1st to August 5th for the IRCHA Jamboree.
IRCHA.
Yeah. Last event I have on the calendar of sanctioned dates is the Fall Heli Mowdown. Again in Fredericksburg, September 28th through September 30th. A 3-day event, and yeah, we'll probably all be there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Basically listing off events that we're going to. One or all of us will be at. If you got events that you think we can travel to, usually it comes down to within 500 miles of the Virginia area. Give us a shout. Tell us about it. I know a lot of times I usually go over to the AMA calendar. I was there today, and I filtered their event sanctions by helicopters in all 12 months of the year. And there's already, I think, about 8 events listed up there for around the U.S.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah. I am looking for dates on other events I go to, like Music City Championship, looking for that one, CV Rotary Wings Precision Contest, and then Dragonfly, an event I usually go to down in East Bend, North Carolina at the Rams Club. So as those ones pop up, I'll definitely fill them in. Also looking for dates for like my friends at RCHO. Yeah, so to bring something full circle from the beginning of the podcast, Mike was mentioning the picture. Last year, they decided, IRCHA staff decided that we would do our last round of F3N, which was set maneuvers, in front of center stage at IRCHA on Thursday. And, of course, me being a caller for Mike,
Oh yeah.
me being caller for DePaulo, I went out there and did my calling, and Jenny caught me in a photo as I was yelling out a maneuver. And so I've got a fairly funny picture in the...
He's got that O face, man.
Got the old face.
Oh yeah.
And also Nick Johnson, who was out there with a microphone, found out that I am loud enough that a microphone is not needed.
I don't need a megaphone. I've got a Monty.
Yes. And if you want to know what that catalog is, it has a picture of the Fireball on it, December 17th, Volume 43, Number 12.
Can't you do like everyone else and just give your model aviation magazines to the dentist?
No,
Yeah,
man.
I gotta keep them here.
We need a contest. Who can make the best picture of Monty?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Calling it out, Clint Aiken's going to be top 5.
What else is there? Oh, yeah, for this year, for F3N, the last round will be done center stage at IRCHA, and it will be music. It'll be the music round, music freestyle round.
Oh, God.
Yep, it'll be the music freestyle round, which was something we were asking for last year, and will basically require I call the beginning and end. But everything else is all pilot.
Am I doing that again?
Yes, you are.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And
Alright,
instead
so
of
do it
doing
again.
instead of doing paper airplanes, you're gonna do Snoop Dogg.
Yes. Yes.
Smoke weed every day.
Charles, smoke weed.
While our podcast can be explicit, it is a professional rule not to put swear words in the music you fly to center stage.
It's the censored
Or-
version.
Or for Heli Nationals.
Is there a censored version of that song?
That's the one I have. I got the remix censored version.
Look at that. We're good to go.
Yes.
Calling it now. I'm going to get shanked by the president of IRCHA.
Oh,
Last year was
I'll
a threat. This year's the real deal.
Charles is crazy, man. I don't put it past him.
I put the bet that he runs you over.
With the golf
Death by
cart.
Golf cart. Like, that doesn't happen already. I'm just going to become a number.
Gonna become a number.
Golf carts.
Before I fully close this out, you guys got any other comments on anything?
You should do a bet.
I'm good.
So to contact us, go ahead and reach us out right now on Facebook through either a private message or post it up on our Facebook page at TellARotor, facebook.com/TellARotor. You can reach us, and you can also reach us on Podbean.com. It'll be actually TellARotor.podbean.com, or you can reach us and you can leave us show comments, or you can subscribe. From all of us at TellARotor RC Podcast, thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the field. You can find us online at facebook.com at TellARotor RC Podcast. On Podbeam, search TellARotor, or email us at TellARotor@gmail.com.